All, welcome to the Web Application Pen Testing course at Pentester Academy. Now, in this video, we will look at remote code execution using a combination of an LFI vulnerability along with log poisoning. So, what is it that we are really going to do here? Now, a lot of network services like your web server, SSH server, certain FTP servers and whatnot use log files. Now, if an attacker can somehow manage to inject code into these log files, and if these log files are readable by your Apache server, then it could be possible that if an LFI vulnerability exists, then we could have an RCE. Now for this lab, I'll be using Metasploitable 2, which you can download from here. And the vulnerable code remains the basic lfi.zip file, which you can also download from below this video. So let's get started. Now here is my Metasploitable 2, which is already running. Now this has an IP address 1.40 and here is my attacker machine with an IP address 1.10. Now let me log into Metasploitable to look at certain configs. So I'm going to do an SSH MSF admin. The Metasploitable is on IP address 1.40. The default password for Metasploitable 2 is MSF admin as well. There we go. Now let's go to the log directory, change directory /var/log. Now if you notice, there are tons of logs depending on which services are running. We can clearly see Apache, which is actually a directory. We can see auth.log, which typically is created by SSH, which we'll look at in the next video. Now for this video, let's just focus on Apache 2 directory. Now looks like this directory is currently not readable by everyone, right? And for this demonstration, we would actually have to have the directly readable. Now keep in mind that in most cases, web admins end up creating custom directories where these log files are stored, and in many cases they forget to set the permissions properly. Now there is a very good Q&A session at security.stackexchange about this, which I'd recommend you read. Now for this demo to work, the assumption is that the log directly is actually readable. So let me go ahead and make it readable. I'm going to do a chmod, or rather first let me become the root user. I'm going to do a chmod 755 and recursively run it on the Apache directory. Now before I do that, let me actually show you the vulnerable code in there as well. So I'm going to connect again. MSF admin 192.168.1.40. Let me also open up a web browser and let's browse our page. Now if you recall, this is really the default lfi.zip app. Can verify that. Let's go into var www. Now I have installed lfi.zip in a directory called lfi. So let's go inside that. And you can clearly see all the files in here, right? You can see lfi.php. So all I'm doing right now is going ahead and running that. Now as you know from previous videos, lfi.php is vulnerable to a local file inclusion attack. Now let's go ahead and try to, let's say, include /var log apache access.log. Now, if you actually notice, by default, it looks like permission seems to be denied and we aren't able to open this file, right? Let's go back in here. Let's change the permission set. And now let's try. Let's go back in here. And if you notice, now we are able to include this log file using our LFI. And we can clearly see the Apache style logs in here. Now to make matters interesting, let's open up a new terminal, or rather we could just use this terminal and do a tail on the access.log file. Here we go. Now, where are we at? Now at this point we have discovered that lfi.php is vulnerable to LFI, and looks like one of the log files which Apache creates, access.log, is vulnerable to being read by the web process or Apache. Now what we want to do is go ahead and inject PHP into this log file. Now there are various places where you can do this, but clearly the user agent seems to be a comfortable place. So let me go ahead and do this many ways. I'm just going to use burp because it's the most standard way to do it. You could even change user agent by changing the about.config preferences. That's a possibility. You could use wget as well using the user agent option. As I said, many possibilities. The one I'm going to use is using burp, just so that we have a standard tool being used. So there you go, burp is up and running. Go to proxy. Proxy seems to be running. Intercepts are on. So let's go back in here. And let me actually just try and get my home.html. And in this, I'm going to inject PHP code as part of the user agent field. So I'm going to put in PHP code. Now all this has to do is be a very simple web shell. So we can just do an echo system, and let's go ahead and feed in a command line parameter cmd, through which we're going to feed in the command. And let's exit the program after that. Right? So ecosystem $_get command, this runs first. This basically takes in the command parameter as an input from the URL, executes it, echoes it back, which means we get it as an output in here, and then the script gracefully exits. So let me forward this and let me disable intercepts. And if I go back in here, you notice that this injection has now happened in here, right? We can clearly see the injection has happened. Fantastic. So now when I'm going to go back in here and try and access varlag apache access.log, you'll actually find that we were able to access it, but it says cannot execute a blank command. Probably see that in here. That's simply because we haven't passed in the command line argument yet. So let's do that. Command equals, let's say, ls, and there you go. We can see the output of ls in here. Let's do a standard psax, so you can find all of that. Let's do a pwd. Here you can clearly see the output of pwd. Let's do a cat etc password. Oops. And there you go, we have the output of cat etc password. Right? Fantastic. So this is really how you can go ahead and do log poisoning when the log file is readable by Apache, and once that is there and an LFI exists, you can do a remote code execution attack on the system and gain a shell there. So hope you enjoyed this video, and if you're having fun at Pentester Academy, please do recommend us to your friends and colleagues in the InfoSec community. Thank you.